Hey guys, welcome back. So going into the conclusion of Symbiote Spider-Man 2099, the way this ends, it almost feels like Peter David is setting things up for more stories to follow, much like he did with Symbiote Spider-Man Alien Reality, or Maestro with War and Pax and World War M. But as it stands right now, I'm not sure if that's the case. But if any of you guys see or hear something, let me know in the comments, because I'd definitely like to see more. But with that said, if you're enjoying these videos, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications so we can squad up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so coming back, this picks up just after the death of Gabriel O'Hara, where now we're taken to Washington DC, with Strange having a word with President Doom since it was his idea to send Gabriel out there. And come to find out, Doom knew this was gonna get Gabriel killed. Cause to him, it's much like the fable of the scorpion and the frog, where the frog helps the scorpion across the pond, and the scorpion still stings the frog, because it's in its nature. So setting this up, Doom knew if Gabriel went out there, Kron was gonna kill him, cause that's what he does, and this was gonna set off Miguel to go after Kron and take him down. But even still, this has Strange like, okay, well what if this leaves us stuck with an insane murderous Spider-Man? But President Doom just tells her to have faith, cause it'll all work out. So from here, when we go back to Miguel and Kron, we see Miguel is ready to put an end to him. But in the case of Kron, he's really not so much convinced that Miguel has it in him. And I mean, there's no doubt that Miguel wants to, but Kron just doesn't think Miguel has it in him to actually do it. And he even tells him this at one point, cause Kron lets him know, like, you're good at threatening Miguel, but getting anything actually done is kind of outside of your wheelhouse. And I mean, if we're talking about manslaughter, or Spider-Man slaughter, he's not wrong. But even with Miguel dancing close to that line, he usually finds a way to get things done without needing to zero someone. But while they're going back and forth, for a moment here, Miguel's symbiote, it tells him to let it take control, because it doesn't believe Miguel has it in him to do what needs to be done. Because the symbiote can tell that Miguel's holding back, even after Kron killed his brother. And Kron notices that too. But at the end of the day, Miguel, he's got to find a way to end this fast. Because if he doesn't, there's going to be a lot of civilian casualties along the way. But not after long, Miguel comes up with an idea. So he asks his symbiote if Kron can also speak to his symbiote. And as soon as he thinks of this, he's like, yes, that's it. And he just takes off without letting his own symbiote know what the plan is. And when Kron gets up, he goes for the old school, let me threaten the innocent bystander method. So he grabs this lady and he's like, come on, Spider-Man. But when he looks up, Miguel is way off in the distance and he's not coming back this way. And it pisses Kron off because that's not how this usually works. So he goes after Miguel, who, mind you, Miguel hasn't said a word to his symbiote since he left Kron back in that building. So his symbiote's trying to ask him what's he doing, why is he not talking to him? And now that Miguel sees that Kron's finally followed him out here, he just tells his symbiote to watch and learn. Because as soon as Kron gets there, Miguel uses his symbiote to latch on to Kron's symbiote, so Miguel can have a conversation with it. And Kron doesn't even try to stop it at first because he thinks it's just some failed attack. But while they're still connected, Miguel calls out and he tells Kron's symbiote like, come on, don't leave me hanging. And eventually he gets a response, with Kron's symbiote asking, what do you want, intruder? Talk fast. But now Kron, he's also hearing this conversation, so he's like, hey, stop talking to my symbiote, you got your own. Cause even though Kron is not exactly sure about what Miguel's doing, he doesn't like it at all. So now he's just trying to get Miguel off of him, but that's not happening anytime soon. And it doesn't help in Kron's case that his symbiote's actually trying to hear what Miguel has to say. And now that Miguel has its attention, he asks, why are you sticking with Kron Stone? He's an empty sack with nothing upstairs. So the Venom symbiote tells him his lack of intelligence makes him useful. So Miguel's like, but it's limiting. You can do much better. Which right there has the Venom symbiote like, better how? So Miguel goes on to say, I am the CEO of Alchemax. I'm Spider-Man. I'm incredibly powerful. Plus I have a symbiote. Imagine if we pooled our powers. Nothing could stop us. Which right there is just Miguel offering the Venom symbiote the opportunity to upgrade. And it hesitates at first because it considers Kron to be a useful servant, but Miguel ends up convincing it to bond with him because together the three of them would have way more power. And as the symbiote leaves Kron, this eventually has him backing up to the edge of this rooftop and nearly stepping off with no symbiote at all. And just before he falls, Miguel grabs him as Kron just starts begging for his life, saying things like, "Miguel, pull me up, I'm your brother," which is always a wild thing to see when these cold-blooded killers just start begging for mercy. But in response to all this, Miguel just tells him, "No, you killed my brother. You're just some guy," as he lets Kron go, and he lets him fall, kinda like Macaulay Culkin in the Good Son movie. And just after this happens, Miguel's symbiote, it tells him, "I'll be damned, I didn't think you had it in you." And it just goes on like, "Congratulations," like it's about to give one of those speeches where it's like, "I never doubted you one time, I knew you was gonna pull it off." But the symbiote stops before even getting into all that, because it asks Miguel, "Wait, what are you doing?" And as it turns out, the next part of Miguel's plan is taking off both symbiotes, because right here he tells Lila to activate Sonic Scream, which immediately gets both symbiotes off of him. And it has his first symbiote saying, "You lied to us, Kron was right." And Miguel, he doesn't disagree, because the way he sees it, even the hero lies sometimes to get rid of the enemy. And I'll admit, with the way that this goes down, it does remind me a lot of how 616 Peter Parker lied to the Venom symbiote to get it to leave Lee Price and come back to him, just for the Venom symbiote to turn around and find out that whole thing was a setup. Because now with Miguel O'Hara, we're pretty much seeing the same thing, though in his case, he's pretty much got him a 2-for-1. So I just imagine now both of these symbiotes are gonna have it out for Miguel. Because furthermore, his first symbiote goes on to say, "You killed Kron," to where Miguel's just like, "Yeah, because sometimes lies aren't enough. Besides, did you see a body?" Which right there just feels like, find out if Kron returns in the next episode titled, "The Return of Kron." But no, really, this is clearly a setup for him to come back later on, because when you don't see the body in any story, 9 times out of 10, that person's getting ready for the sequel. The only question really, if any, is if Kron surviving was part of Miguel's plan. But really, that's just one of those things where we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But right now, while Miguel's here, he takes a moment to mourn his brother Gabriel. And with tears in his eyes, he tells Gabe that he'll do better, starting with turning Alchemax into the company that Gabriel wanted it to be. And he even goes on to say that he'll start a trust fund for young investors and name it after Gabriel, so no one will forget his name. But following this, we go back to Alchemax and we see Gabriel hugging Conchata, which for her is a huge relief since she heard about what happened. But at the same time, there's a few things here that aren't quite right. Because for starters, if this is actually Gabriel, he's being way too nice to his mom all of a sudden. And aside from that, we also see, the blue text bubble from Miguel's first symbiote, which on one hand shows us that the symbiote's back, though it doesn't tell us who exactly is wearing it. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here, who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.